The first gift that day did not come in wrapping paper. It came in the form of car keys lifted high, applause filling the room, and a red convertible waiting outside for my daughter-in-law in the name of Women's Day. A few minutes later, when it was my turn, I opened my box and froze. Inside were cleaning supplies. New, neatly arranged. She smiled and said it was time I helped around the house more. That was the moment everything I had ignored for years finally came into focus. My name is Rowan Halverson. I am 42. In my husband's family, I am known as the reliable one. I cook without being asked. I clean while conversations continue around me. I keep track of birthdays, school schedules, doctor appointments, and the small details that make other people's lives run smoothly. When something needs to be handled, they say my name with relief, not gratitude. No one ever forced me into this role. That is the part that makes it easy to excuse. I was good at it. I noticed things. I filled gaps before they turned into problems. Over time, that became my place. Not honored, not questioned, just expected. When Women's Day was mentioned that year, it sounded casual, a small family gathering, nothing elaborate. I assumed it would be like everything else. I would help set it up, help clean afterward, and feel quietly useful. I did not resent them. Not yet. I believed being needed meant being valued, even if no one said it out loud. I did not know that the celebration meant to recognize women would be the day my role was finally spelled out for me, clearly and publicly, with no room left to misunderstand. By the time the family gathered, something had already shifted, though I could not yet name it. When we arrived, the house was already full. Laughter carried from the living room, sharp and bright, the kind that rises when people know something you don't. I stepped inside and reached for my coat hook out of habit. "Just leave it there," my mother-in-law said quickly. "We've got it." I paused. She didn't look at me when she said it. Her eyes stayed fixed on the hallway. That should have been my first warning. Normally, I'd already be in the kitchen by then, checking burners, asking what needed reheating. Instead, my hands hung useless at my sides. My sister-in-law breezed past me with a tray of glasses. "Sit down," she said, smiling too widely. "Today's not for work, not for me." She didn't add. She didn't need to. My daughter-in-law stood near the center of the room, hair done, phone already in her hand. People kept drifting toward her, brushing her arm, laughing a little louder when she spoke. "You didn't tell me you were dressing up," I said, trying to keep my tone light. She smiled. "It's Women's Day." Something about the way she said it made me feel like I'd missed a memo. My husband leaned in close. "Just relax," he murmured. "Let them handle it. They never do." I said. He didn't answer. When everyone finally settled, my father-in-law cleared his throat. "We wanted to do something special this year, for the women," my mother-in-law added. Glancing past me, I waited for someone to say my name. It didn't happen. Instead, my daughter-in-law was guided forward, hands placed on her shoulders like she was being positioned for a photo, phones lifted. Someone told her to stand closer to the window. I stayed where I was, half in the doorway, half out of the frame, holding nothing, needed for nothing. For the first time in that house, I wasn't useful. And somehow, that made me invisible. My father-in-law lifted a small red box and cleared his throat again. "We wanted to make today memorable," he said. My daughter-in-law laughed, already stepping forward. "Go on," my mother-in-law urged. "Open it." When the lid came up, the room reacted before she did. Gasps, hands flying to mouths. Someone clapped once. Then everyone joined in. She stared at the keys like they might disappear. "You didn't," she said. "We did," my father-in-law said. "Proud. A convertible. Brand new. Phones went up immediately. My sister-in-law squealed, "Turn it so we can see the logo." My daughter-in-law hugged my mother-in-law, then my father-in-law. "This is insane," she kept saying, laughing, half crying. "For Women's Day, you deserve it." My mother-in-law said, "You've brought so much joy into this family." I stood still, hands folded, clapping because everyone else was clapping. The sound felt distant, like it wasn't coming from me. "Come outside." Someone said, "Let's see it." The front door opened and closed in waves. I followed last. The car sat at the curb, polished, impossible to ignore. She posed by the driver's door while photos were taken from every angle. "Keys up," my sister-in-law called. My husband stood beside me, close enough that our sleeves touched. I looked at him. He kept his eyes on the car. "This is a lot," I said quietly. He nodded. Yeah. He didn't look at me then, either. When the photos slowed and people drifted back inside, my mother-in-law turned around with another box in her hands. Smaller, plain, "All right," she said, smiling. "Now it's your turn." The applause didn't start that time. The box was light when my mother-in-law placed it in my hands. Lighter than the keys had been. Lighter than the silence waiting behind her smile. "Go ahead," she said. "Open it." I did. The lid came off easily. Inside, everything was lined up with care. Sponges in their wrappers, rubber gloves folded flat, spray bottles still sealed. A full set. Not cheap, not random. Chosen for a moment. No one spoke. Then my daughter-in-law laughed softly. "Oh," she said, "that's practical." My sister-in-law nodded. "You're always so good at that stuff." My mother-in-law tilted her head, studying my face. "It's time you helped around the house more," she said, like she was offering advice. "We all do our part." Something in my chest tightened, but my face didn't move. "I already do," I said. My voice sounded calm, even to me. She waved a hand. "You know what I mean." My daughter-in-law smiled. "Quick and easy. You're better at it than the rest of us." A few people laughed. Not cruelly. That was the worst part. It wasn't a joke to them. It was agreement. I looked down at the box again. At how neatly everything fit. No room left over. No space to add anything else. My husband cleared his throat. "Mom?" "It's not an insult," my mother-in-law said, cutting him off. "We thought it made sense. After all," my sister-in-law added, "someone has to keep things running." I felt every eye on me, waiting for gratitude, for a laugh, for me to smooth it over the way I always did. Instead, I closed the box. The sound was small, but it carried. "I didn't know we were exchanging roles today," I said. My mother-in-law frowned. "Don't be sensitive." My daughter-in-law shifted her weight, still holding her keys. "It's just how families work." I nodded once, slowly. The shape of it was clear now. Not just the gift, not just the words. This was how they saw me. Useful, replaceable, assigned. I set the box on the table, careful not to disturb anything inside. "I need some air," I said. No one followed me. I stepped into the hallway and leaned my shoulder against the wall. My phone buzzed in my pocket, but I didn't reach for it. I already knew who it would be. "Rowan," my husband said behind me. His voice was low, careful. They didn't mean it like that. I almost laughed. Almost. "How did they mean it?" I asked. He hesitated. That pause told me more than his answer ever could. "You know how my mom is," he said. "She thinks in terms of what works." "What works for who?" I said. "For the family," he replied. Too quickly. I nodded. Because I'd been nodding my whole life. Every time I took on one more task, every time I stayed late to clean while everyone else relaxed, every time someone said, "You're just better at this," I already do more than my part. I said, "You know that." He rubbed his face. I didn't want today to turn into this. Neither did I said, and that was the truth. That. I thought about all the times I'd explained myself before. How I was tired. How I needed help. How it wasn't fair. Each time, the conversation ended the same way, with promises that faded and expectations that didn't. This wasn't a mistake. It was a summary. From the living room, I heard laughter again. Someone was replaying the video of the keys. My daughter-in-law's voice floated over it, bright and unbothered. "You coming back?" my husband asked. I looked at him. Really looked. At the man who knew how much I carried and had learned to let me carry it anyway. "I'm not going to fix this," I said, his brow furrowed. Fix what I didn't answer. I didn't need to. For the first time. I didn't explain myself. I picked up my coat, felt the weight of it settle on my shoulders, and walked toward the door. The decision wasn't dramatic, it didn't need to be. It had been forming for years. I didn't announce that I was leaving. I didn't look for an opening in the conversation. I simply moved. My mother-in-law was saying something about dessert when she noticed my coat. "You're going already?" she asked, surprised. Like I'd stood up in the middle of a movie. "I need to go," I said. My daughter-in-law glanced up from her phone. "We're about to cut the cake." "I know," I said. My husband followed me to the door. "Rowan, let's just talk later," he said. His hand hovered near my arm but didn't touch it. Today got out of hand. It didn't. I said. It landed exactly where it was headed. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. Behind him, laughter swelled. Someone called my daughter-in-law's name. The sound filled the space I was leaving behind. "You'll come back," my mother-in-law said. Not unkindly. "We'll sort it out." I nodded once. It was easier than arguing. Outside. The air felt sharper. Cleaner. I walked to my car without looking back. My phone buzzed the moment I sat down. I let it buzz. Then again, I turned the screen face down on the passenger seat and started the engine. I didn't drive far, just far enough that the house wasn't in my mirrors anymore. At a stoplight, my phone buzzed again. This time, I powered it off. The silence that followed felt heavy, then steady. I pulled over a few blocks later and sat there with my hands on the wheel. My heart was racing, but my mind was clear. For the first time that day, no one needed anything from me. No one was waiting for me to smooth things over. I thought about the box on the table, the way everything inside it fit so neatly, the way my place in that family had been arranged just as carefully. I put the car back in gear and drove. I didn't know where I was going yet. That part could wait. What mattered was that I wasn't going back, not tonight. Not to explain, not to apologize, not to make it easier for anyone else. As the streetlights passed one by one, something loosened in my chest. I wasn't holding everything together anymore. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was falling apart. I turned my phone back on the next morning. It vibrated immediately, like it had been holding its breath. 6 missed calls, then 8, then a string of messages stacking on top of each other. My mother-in-law first. "Are you all right?" 5 minutes later. "This isn't funny." Then, "You embarrassed us by leaving like that." My husband's name followed. "Call me." Another message. Longer this time. "They're upset. We can talk this through." I didn't respond. By midday, the tone changed. The words sharpened. "Where are you?" my mother-in-law said when I finally answered one call. She didn't say hello. "I'm safe," I said. "That's not what I asked," she replied. "You can't just disappear." "I didn't disappear," I said. "I left." She exhaled loudly. "Well, things are a mess here." I waited. "The house," she continued. "The schedule. Your father-in-law has appointments this week. No one knows where anything is. I'm not there." I said. "That's the problem." She snapped. "We need you back, just for a few days." There it was. Not concern, not regret, Need. My husband called next. You put us in a bad spot, he said quietly. I didn't plan a car reveal. I said, I didn't hand myself a box of cleaning supplies. Silence stretched between us. They're stressed, he said. Can you just help until things calm down? I thought about how quickly calm had depended on me, how invisible my work had been until it stopped. I'm not coming back, I said. His voice tightened. You're really doing this? Yes, I said. I am. After that, the calls kept coming, shorter, more urgent. No one asked how I slept. No one asked if I was hurt. They weren't afraid of losing me. They were afraid of losing what I did for them. The truth didn't arrive all at once. It came in pieces, dropped into my phone like reminders I used to set for other people. My sister-in-law called first. Did you move the electric bill folder? She asked. Breathless. I didn't. I said, well, it's not where it usually is. I'm not there. I said again. She went quiet. The payment's overdue. An hour later, my mother-in-law texted, your father-in-law missed his appointment. I replied once. I didn't schedule it. 3 dots appeared, then vanished. My husband called that evening. The sitter didn't show. He said, I don't hire the sitter. I said, you always confirmed. He said, I'm not confirming anymore. He sighed. Frustrated. This is spiraling. It's unraveling, I said. There's a difference. The next day, the calls stacked up. Garbage pickup missed. School forms incomplete. A late fee added to a bill I'd paid on time for years. Each problem had my name attached to it, like a tag they'd only just noticed. We just need you to come back and straighten things out. My mother-in-law said, her voice softened. Practiced. You don't have to stay? I've been straightening things out for a long time, I said. That's not fair, she replied. We all help. I pictured the table where I'd sorted mail every Sunday, the calendar I kept on my phone so theirs could stay empty. When did you last pay a bill without asking me? I said. She didn't answer. Later. My daughter-in-law finally called. This got blown out of proportion, she said lightly. No one meant anything by it. You meant what you said, I replied, and everyone agreed. She scoffed. You're acting like we used you. I thought about the keys lifted for photos, the box set in my hands, the panic that followed my absence. You didn't need me. I said, you needed what I handled. Her voice sharpened. Families help each other. I did. I said. That was the role. Silence sat between us, thick and telling. By the end of the week, I could see the structure clearly. I wasn't a person in that house. I was a system, invisible when it worked, urgent when it stopped. They didn't miss me. They missed the life I made easier. I didn't plan a speech. I sent a message because it was the clearest way to say it once and not keep saying it again. I'm not coming back. I wrote, not to help, not to fix things. I need space. The replies came fast. My mother-in-law called first. So this is it, she said. Wounded. You're just leaving us like this. I already left. I said, I'm just naming it now. You know that's not what I mean. She said, families don't walk away. I didn't walk away. I said, I stepped out of a role that was hurting me. My husband texted next. They're saying you abandoned them. I typed back. I stopped filling in where I wasn't respected. He called anyway. You don't have to punish everyone, he said. I'm not punishing anyone. I said, I'm choosing what I won't do anymore. His voice tightened. So you're really done helping? Yes, I said. I'm done being responsible for things I didn't agree to carry. There was a pause. I could hear him breathing. This isn't who you are, he said. It is. I said, you just preferred the version of me that didn't say no. That night, my daughter-in-law sent a short message. This is extreme, I replied once. It's clear. After that, I stopped responding. The boundary didn't feel dramatic when I said it. It felt plain, necessary, like locking a door at night. I didn't explain my feelings again. I didn't argue about intent. I didn't defend my worth. They told each other a story where I was cold and selfish and ungrateful. I let them have it. I didn't correct the record. The next morning, my phone was quiet. The absence felt strange, then steady. For the first time, my time belonged to me, not to whatever crisis they named next. I spent Women's Day alone the following year, not out of bitterness, out of choice. My apartment was small, quiet, and entirely mine. I woke early, made coffee, and sat at the table without rushing. No one needed anything from me. No one was waiting for me to remember what they'd forgotten. Later that morning, I walked to the store a few blocks away. I stood in the cleaning aisle longer than I expected to. Shelves lined with bottles and sponges that looked exactly like the ones from that box. I picked up a set anyway. At the checkout, the cashier glanced at the items and smiled. Spring cleaning, something like that, I said. Back home, I put everything under my sink, not arranged, not presented, just placed where I'd reach for them when I needed them. The difference mattered. My phone stayed quiet most of the day. By afternoon, a message came through from my husband. Just one line. "I hope you're okay." I read it. I didn't answer. That night, I cooked dinner for myself, nothing complicated. I cleaned up after. Slowly, because I wanted to. Because the mess was mine. The care was mine. No one mistook it for obligation. I thought about how loudly they'd celebrated that convertible, how quickly the attention had moved on once I stepped away. There had been no grand apology since then. No sudden understanding, just distance, and the life that grew inside it. A week later, my mother-in-law left a voicemail. Her voice sounded tired. "Things have been hard," she said. "We're managing." I deleted it. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't angry. I was finished negotiating my place. Women's Day didn't mean flowers or gifts anymore. It meant waking up in a space where my name wasn't shorthand for responsibility. It meant choosing what I gave and when I gave it. It meant knowing that care offered freely feels different than care taken for granted. I washed my hands at the sink and dried them on a clean towel. The apartment was quiet in the way that lets you hear yourself think. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt steady. That was enough.